Welcome to Listen to Your Skin by Moon and Skin, the podcast where science meets nature to celebrate the story of your skin. Your skin is a living canvas, ever evolving, deeply personal, and uniquely yours. Each week, we'll dive into the science of healthy skin, share empowering stories, and uncover transformative self-care rituals. We're here to help you embrace every phase of your journey with confidence and care. Hi, everyone. Welcome to this week's episode of Listen to Your Skin by Moon and Skin. I'm your host, Dr. Jen Haley. And on this week's episode, I have Ashley.
Hello.
She glammed me up today. All of you who know me know that I am a tomboy. I run out the door with a little bit of tinted sunscreen, so I'm looking quite glam today, thanks to Ashley.
She looks beautiful. If you guys are watching the clip, just know she looks amazing.
Thank you, Ashley. So in your job, you often make people look and feel better than they might feel on their own. We want to dive into that and what that means to most people.
Mm-hmm.
But before we get started, I want to understand from your perspective as a makeup artist, something that I know nothing about and I get a lot of questions on. What can people do regarding their skincare in order to make their makeup preparation work a little bit better?
I would say the most important thing is exfoliation, because as we know, throughout the day, our face tends to just build up oil and all these things. So when a client comes to me, the first thing I ask them is, have you exfoliated today? When was the last time you washed your face? That's always the first question. And if they've been running around, running errands, or they've been out of the house for a while, and I could tell that, there's just the day is sitting on their face, basically. The first thing I will do is take an exfoliating pad and wipe all of that off, because your makeup's not going to look as good or last as long with all of these pre-existing oils on your face. So I think that's the most important thing. Moisturize. And I would actually ask my clients to not come to me with their skincare, because some products don't work well with certain skincare products. So I'd rather you come exfoliated, tell me what your skin type is like, and I'll do the rest for you.
Okay, this is so good to know. And now I understand why you asked me if you could take my stuff off before we started. And I was like, no, don't take my tinted sunscreen off. Okay, so this morning I cleansed. I applied my vitamin C product. Then I applied an enzyme exfoliant and then my tinted sunscreen. Okay. So do you think my makeup would have sat better if I allowed you to take it all off beforehand?
No, it looks great while I'm looking at you.
It does look great, everyone.
It does. If during the process I noticed certain things weren't sitting right or starting to get splotchy, I would have been like, hey, Jen, I think we should take that off. And I would have probably asked you again if we could put a makeup wipe to your face. It kind of just depends, because maybe what you put on under your skin did work well with my products, which it looks like it did. So I kind of just kept going with it. But had I noticed it didn't, we would have had to have that conversation.
Okay. Oh, yeah. I love this so much. This is great because, I've been a board certified dermatologist for over 20 years, and I get asked so many questions about makeup, and I just don't even know how to answer them. Yeah. And what you're saying about exfoliating makes complete sense from a physiological perspective, because we have these dead keratinocytes, like we have the dead skin cells on our skin. Yeah. And the makeup is not going to apply evenly if those aren't exfoliated. Mm-hmm. So, I always wonder where we draw the line between too much exfoliation and not enough exfoliation. And it's really when somebody starts to get irritated. Is that what you see?
I think so too. Yeah. And I don't over exfoliate. I don't do anything crazy. They're like tiny little exfoliating pads, and I hand them to my client, and I'm like, just, wipe your face. It's very surface level. It's not anything too deep or penetrating. But it works wonders for me. I have seen my clients come in and I forget to use it on them, and then I'll do their makeup again and I will use the exfoliating pad, and I'm like night and day between the two of how their makeup looked in photos or throughout the day. And they'll tell me too, I love that exfoliating pad you gave me. It made such a big difference. So exfoliation, it's like the number one thing I always tell my clients, please exfoliate before you come see me, if you can. If not, I'll take care of you. Yeah.
As you have. Yeah. As you have. So, okay, this is a common question regarding exfoliation, because people often don't exfoliate enough, to your point, and then some people overdo it as well. Mm-hmm. So if you're at home and you're listening and you're wondering like how much is enough exfoliation, it's going to change depending on the season, your menstrual cycle, where you live. Like our body changes. It's a moving target and it changes all the time. So if your skin is burning or peeling or red, you're exfoliating too much. And if it looks dry and dull and your makeup is not staying, then you're not exfoliating it enough. And what works one week might not work the next week. So listen to your skin by Moon and Skin. Okay, so what are the key steps that everybody should take before applying makeup? Like, are there certain ingredients you want people to use on their skin before makeup? Certain ingredients you want people to avoid before makeup? Besides just making sure they're exfoliated.
You know, whatever works for you, I always say, like, don't fix something if it's not broken. So if someone comes and asks me for advice, I will recommend them products based off of what I know from what they're telling me about their skin. But I don't really try to advise someone to do something when I don't really know, what they're using at home or what their skin is like unless they're sitting in my chair, which I only see them for an hour. So, but I'm able to give good advice. I just try to tailor it to the person and what they're asking me. But if no one's really asking me, I try to just stay out of that conversation because I'm not trying to be the reason someone like breaks out or hates a product or whatever it is. So
Right.
that's kind of my take on that. But yeah.
Do you have recommendations for specific makeup lines that you think are cleaner or that are less likely to cause breakouts and clogging of pores?
100%. There are so many. And especially if someone were to come to me and tell me I have sensitive skin, I have 3 lines that I will gravitate towards the most. And one especially, I don't know that I want to like say names but one especially, I've had 4 different clients tell me that they're actually allergic to, not the clear skin like brands, but a very well-known in Sephora brand. There's a specific product in there that 4 of my clients are allergic to. And I took that completely out of my kit, like everything in that line. Just because some people don't know. These 4 of my clients do know. The other 100 of them might not know. But yeah, definitely if someone comes to me, my second question after, have you exfoliated, do you have sensitive skin? And if the answer is yes, I know exactly what products I'm reaching for.
You can name them.
I can name them.
Yeah, we want to give people some usable information. So
I love Rare Beauty. Rare Beauty is such a clean brand. What other brands?
What about Ilia? I've been using
love
Ilia.
Ilia.
Okay.
Say Beauty, I think they don't really
Say?
yeah, SAIE. I don't know if they market themselves to be like a clean makeup brand, but I absolutely love their products. None of my clients have had any issue. Like, if anything, they'll come back and be like, "What was that you used on my face?" And it's always Say or Rare Beauty.
Is that what you used on me today?
I did use a Say. Yep,
I like it.
Yeah.
Okay. So that's, I mean, the one thing I want to mention about sensitive skin or somebody who develops an allergic contact dermatitis to a product, I often will see people in the office and they'll say, I've never had a problem with this before. It can't be my makeup. And what happens with contact dermatitis is the first time, even if we come into contact with poison ivy, which is like the gold standard of what a contact dermatitis looks like, is you won't have a reaction to it. And then the more we come into contact with an ingredient, and there's certain types of ingredients like acrylates, which can be found in nails or glue or probably like the fake eyelash like glue.
The adhesive.
Yeah, the adhesive. Thank you. The acrylates are a common issue. We even see them in Apple Watches and all sorts of different things. But with preservatives in makeup, which we want preservatives so that they don't go bad and have mold on them and all sorts of other problems, we can develop allergies to them over years. So you can use something for 10 years and not have any problems. And then year number 11, you can develop an allergy to it. So that's why it's important to realize that your skin isn't static. It's a dynamic living organism that basically can develop allergies to things.
Yeah.
So it's good to be aware of what's out there. So you mentioned sensitive skin, but what about if someone has oily or dry skin? What would they do differently with their makeup application?
I try to take care of that with the type of primers that I use. So if someone tells me that they're oily, I love the Milk Hydro Grip primer. I'll normally reach for that. And powders. I know people try to stay away from them because they can settle into fine lines. But if you're greasy, I recommend maybe just putting on a little more powder during that step of the application. Those are like my 2 main things. And most of the times clients will come back to me who grease after an hour and say like, hey, my makeup was on for 16 hours and I didn't even have to blot. And it was because of those 2 things.
Okay, so I'm gonna keep coming back to me because I don't wear this much makeup normally,
Mhm.
and I'm fascinated by what you do. So because I'm more oily in the T zone and drier on the periphery, is did you put the milk primer on the periphery and more powder centrally?
So because you already had pre-existing the
Tinted sunscreen.
tinted sunscreen, I didn't know how that was going to react with the primer. So I used the more powder option, and I used a little more on the T-zone, but also I tried to not use too much underneath the eyes cuz we don't want that settling into fine lines. So I was very careful with my powder placement when it came to you to try to make sure this area doesn't grease.
Are you saying I have a lot of fine lines in that area?
No, no, not we all do. I do.
I'm
Oh
just
my gosh,
kidding.
even and a question that people ask me often is when I do start to get these lines after, an hour or so of my makeup sitting on my face, what do I do? Because it's just normal that these lines the makeup's going to settle in and we all have lines. My biggest tip is to never ever take a brush, put more product on it, and put that on your face because that's only going to penetrate deeper into those lines and make them look more visible. I would take a brush with absolutely nothing on it and kind of just wiggle it back and forth. And what that's going to do is move the powder that's already there, that's settling into those lines, and kind of make everything look a little more cohesive in that area. So I do that every hour or so if I need to.
Yeah, I like that. I mean, it makes sense because we're making faces and micro expressions, and
Yeah.
as we do that, the powder's falling into the creases, which is natural and normal, and we want that, right?
Yeah.
And okay, so as opposed to applying more powder and having more opportunity for those to fall into the creases, we're just blending together what's there
What's
as a
already
touch up through the day.
exactly.
Okay, and then
Yeah.
I noticed you applied setting spray. What is setting spray, and what does that do? And do people use that every day, or is special occasion kind of thing?
Um, I would say more of a special occasion type of thing. You can use it every day if you notice that your makeup does tend to not last as long. But I love setting spray, and I'm gonna shout out One Size Until Dawn setting spray. That's what I used on you. It's basically a hairspray for your face, and you had that little reaction where you're like, "Oh my gosh, I wasn't expecting that." I think it's so important because it just takes it to the next level. When I finish doing someone's makeup, I want to make sure that they're happy with it the same way they are sitting in my chair in that exact moment throughout the rest of the day. And that the setting spray is really what, goes a long way. I have had clients leave and I'll text them and I'll be like, I forgot to spray you. And if they're still in the area, they'll come right back. I'll spray them really quickly and then they'll go about their day. Or they're like, thank you so much for telling me. Like, I'll spray at home. I think it's so important. So, love a setting spray
So it just sort of holds it. It holds it in
in place.
place. What if I went and if I go and sweat, it's not going to quite work, or it will endure a little bit, but not a lot.
So, this specific setting spray went viral on TikTok because there was a girl who I forget if she jumped in a pool or like was in labor or whatever it was, and her face did not move. And that is what made that specific setting spray take off because I think actually it was both things. It was one girl jumping into a pool and another girl was like, let's see how this works. I'm about to have a baby. And their faces looked incredible. So I guess it just depends. I've never tried it out. I have it on my face right now. I could go home and I don't know. Maybe I'll get back to you on that one.
I may jump in a pool, but I'm not going to go through labor with this.
Yeah, right.
Already been there. That's
Yeah.
enough. That's great. Okay, that's great.
Yeah.
I really love that. Okay, so let's jump into some of the biggest mistakes that you see people make. I'm sure I've done all of them.
Biggest mistakes. As in prior to makeup application or just in
Just
general?
in general, anything like that you notice that people do to negatively affect their makeup. Maybe
Yeah.
applying the wrong products, applying it incorrectly
Yeah.
to like maybe offset their greatest asset, using things in combination that shouldn't be used in combination with. I mean, I'm just
Yeah.
making things up. So
I
I'm
was actually going to touch on that is some people will say certain products don't work well together. And that's because those products probably don't work well together because of what they're made of. So you have to look at what each product, is it like a water-based product? Is it an oil-based product? Is it a silicone-based product? Let's say you have a water-based foundation with a silicone-based primer. Those two might not, they might work better as if opposed if it were an oil-based primer and then a water-based foundation. So not many people I'm a makeup artist, so I have to do this because I need to know what works best in my kit. Um, on a day to day, do I want my clients going and researching, what exactly is in their products? You don't have to, but if you notice it's not working, then I would say try to figure out why. And is it because of, what ingredients are in your foundation versus your primer versus your powder? Are they just not working well together? And that's kind of how you figure that out.
Okay,
Yeah.
so I don't know what a primer versus a foundation versus a powder is because,
Okay.
as you know, when I walked in here today, I wear tinted sunscreen
Yeah.
and then maybe some blush. So, what are these different steps that people could be doing at home?
So I always say we can start prior to applying any makeup on your face. I always say if you're at home about to do your makeup, let's wash your face, exfoliate, moisturize. If you're oily, or let's say you're not even oily and you would just rather look a little bit more dewy, a primer is where you can kind of fix, make yourself look the way you want to look. If you want to look more matte towards the end, we'll use a mattifying primer. If you want to look more dewy towards the end, we'll use a dewy primer. And this is all before we've put any foundation or makeup on our face. So that's primer is right before foundation. And then I would go in with a layer of foundation. So you kind of have to make sure those two things will work well together because they're the first products you're putting on your face. And then after that, concealer, I don't really see a difference of which kind of concealer you use. I think the main three things people should focus on if they don't like the way their skin looks are primer, foundation, and powder. Do the three that you're using work well together? And if you feel like they're not, they probably aren't, and to take care of that first.
Okay,
Yeah.
that makes good sense. Okay, so besides that, what are other mistakes that you see people like? Just say we're sitting at the mall or we're walking in a shopping center. I notice things about people because of what
Yeah.
I do for a living. Like I'll notice birthmarks or funny moles or things that look like a skin cancer. Um, all sorts of things because there's over 3,000 diagnoses in dermatology. So I know.
You're asking me what do I
yeah,
notice when
What
I
do you
see
notice?
someone?
What do you notice like mistakes that people do wrong?
You
Or maybe trends that have gone bad.
trends that have gone bad, definitely, I would say maybe over contouring. So
What is contouring?
contouring is when you take a bronzer, a darker shade, and you kind of place it in the areas that you want to enhance your cheekbones, your forehead to make it a little shorter. Yep, right here on your neck, like your chin. But it can be taken a little overboard. I hate when I see like the sharpest line and it's orange, and then the rest of someone's face is like your skin's not orange. It's either like fair, medium, tan, whatever it is. I don't like seeing that harsh line, that discrepancy between the bronzer or the contour or even the blush. I think it's very important to you can put these things on your face in the areas that you want them, and then after that, let's marry them. They're dating, and then let's marry the products together is my type of thing. So I guess that's what I notice is when products on someone's face aren't married, I would say.
I like that. That's a good term. Yeah, we definitely want to get things married.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, that's interesting. And as you're talking, I'm thinking when we see ourselves in the mirror, we see ourselves two-dimensionally. So we might be like, and it looks good two-dimensionally, but in real live action, those sort of very contrasting colors and shades don't look
Could be too harsh.
like in an actionable way. It just doesn't look realistic. So
Yeah.
that's great. Okay.
Another thing I would say too, as far as like mistakes go, when someone's wanting to do their own makeup for an event or to go out and they'll come to me and be like, well, I need you to do my makeup because it doesn't look how it looks when you do it. What do you do? How do you get it to look that way? Because when I put on makeup, it doesn't look like it's glam or it doesn't really show up in photos. And my biggest advice is you're probably not using enough product, especially if it's for that special occasion. Pictures tend to wash things out. So I see people, I'm like, well, how much foundation do you use? And they're like, and they'll pump once. And I'm like, okay, so let's go through what I'm doing for you. And I'll start pumping. And I'm like, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And I just see my client's eyes like expanding. And I'm like, that's how much it takes for you to look how you look when you leave my chair. So just so they kind of get an idea, if you're not liking the way it looks in photos and special occasions, you probably just need a little more. I would play around with it. I wouldn't just do it an hour before your event and leave the house. Maybe like experiment, but definitely experiment with more product, I would say.
Yeah, that's a really good point because I feel like I could put what I consider a lot of makeup on and then I get photos and it doesn't look like I have any makeup on because it does look washed out. And even today I'm like, okay, I think we're done. And you're like, no, we're not done. I'm like, okay, you're the expert here. You're the expert. Okay, so there's something else. So my sister is a makeup artist in Milan. She works on the runways and it's very extravagant and it's very artistic. It's not so much real life like what you're dealing with.
Yeah.
And she'll often send me photos of what people look like without makeup. So there's this false illusion that I think we live in the actual world where we see runway models or people on the covers of magazines or all social media and then reality TV for sure, where people look so perfect and we think that people don't have any pores or any wrinkles or anything like that. And as a dermatologist, I see everyone with no clothes on, with no makeup on. I see the vulnerable parts of people and all of the discolorations and all of the things, right?
Yeah.
All of the things everyone has. But I think you often see the transformation of the opposite. Mm-hmm. So you have the power to make people feel really good about themselves and also to understand that that's not reality.
Yeah.
Right?
Of course.
So can you share your take on that and how it can be a false illusion of like when we see people, we want to have no pores, we want to have no wrinkles like the people that we see, but in actuality, those people have wrinkles and pores. Yeah.
I would say that everybody has lines. Everybody has pores. Are there ways that we can minimize these things? Absolutely. Can I do that with makeup? Absolutely. Is that what you're going to look like without all this makeup on or without all procedures or whatever everyone's doing? It's just life. And with time and age comes all these things. So I guess my biggest advice is like, don't be so hard on yourself, especially when I'm done doing a client, I hand them the mirror and I'm like, hey, how do you like your makeup? And when they put the mirror this close to their face, I'm like, well, hold on. No one's going to come up to you and be like, oh, I like your makeup. And, look at you that close and personal. Like, just hold it at a good distance, look at yourself. And 9 out of 10 times they like it so much better as opposed to looking this close because you're looking at all the lines and everything on your face. No one sees that. And I think that's why we can look at a celebrity's Instagram post or on a runway and whatever. We're not looking at them this close up either. So try to not be so hard on yourself and look at yourself, like take a step back, look at yourself and see how people would see you and not so close up and be so hard on yourself.
Yeah.
That's what I would say.
I love that. And realizing that everyone is struggling with something, it's so easy for me to see that. What I love about what you do and being a makeup artist is that often I'll have someone with really bad acne or dyschromia, like discoloration to their skin or red broken blood vessels or some sort of an irregular pigmentation to their skin. So while they are in the process of evening out their skin tone through medical procedures, a good makeup artist who can teach you how to properly apply makeup can be supportive during that transformation or that transition role. Yeah.
Mm-hmm, for sure.
Yeah.
My biggest advice also to someone like that, I know I'm a makeup artist and I'm wearing a lot of makeup and I just did your makeup, but if I don't have to wear makeup, I'm not wearing makeup. If I need to cover something, it's just to cover something. So for example, if I'm breaking out, I'm not going to slap a bunch of foundation on my face to cover up my one breakout. I'm going to minimally try to hide that as best as I can without irritating the rest of my face too much, because then that causes a bigger problem. So that's my biggest advice is if you're trying to heal your skin will treat you almost like as good as you treat it, I think. Just how, your body will treat you just as good as you treat it. So if you're going through acne and breakouts, maybe try to be a little easier on your skin so that it can heal and then everything will, look great. So that's my biggest advice is try not to do too much because it might harm you in the end.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. Our skin is one of our biggest detox organs. So we need to give it a break so the pores can actually detox some things and and open up. And I know at the end of the day, like even though I do what I do and you do what you do, it's all about empowering someone to feel like their best self. Like that's what we ultimately want people to do.
Yeah.
And before we close out, I just want you to cover, since it's, we're into 2025 now, like what do you think are maybe the top 2 or 3 hottest trends of 2025?
I would say the clean girl makeup aesthetic is really in right now. I do have a lot of clients that will come to me for like special occasion makeup and stuff like that. That's different. But I think what I'm seeing more so on social media, aside from the bridal industry, is just soft glam, clean girl. I'm loving the faux freckle hype that's going on right now.
What's that?
It's basically, I believe, I've never used it because I have freckles, so I don't need to, but I think the brand is called Freck. And it's kind of like a little almost eyeliner pencil, and you dot it where you want freckles. You take your finger and you blend it out, and it's adorable. So I actually think in 2025, the clean girl aesthetic is taking over, in my opinion. There's like a TikTok filter where it's like, are you low contrast or high contrast? So basically what you do is you stand there, you put your face in this little TikTok like app, and it'll tell you whether or not you look better with more makeup or less makeup. And that was a trend that kind of took off, and a lot of people started realizing like, hey, I think I look better with low contrast, because they would go out and they would do that after the app would tell them you're a low contrast person. They would try it out and love their makeup. So I say maybe experiment. I think 2025 is also the year of experimenting. See what works best for you. If you're a high contrast person, go out and, do that black eyeliner or whatever it is. And if you're low contrast, keep it with the clean girl. I like it.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's about experimenting what works best for you.
Yes.
And not reaching externally for what you should be. It's like what works for you.
Yeah.
Like let's get attuned to what works for us.
Yeah.
That's what we're deciding is the new trend.
Yeah. Yeah. What works best for you? I think that's the best trend that anyone could follow, because what might look good on someone else might not look so great on me, and that's okay. But I mean, yeah, just figuring it out. What do you like, and how do you like the way you look? And that's what's most important.
It really is.
Yeah.
So we could show up authentically.
Exactly.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So I know a lot of people are going to want to reach out to you and have more questions and follow what you do. So
Yes.
how does everyone find you?
I am on Instagram. It is at ashley.s.mua. And if you'd like to book an appointment with me, I have a website. It's linked on my Instagram. My number is also there if you'd like to book I take bookings via email, text, call, Instagram, whatever, online, you name it. So yeah, please reach out to me through Instagram.
Great. And we'll have all of that contact information in the show notes.
Great. Thank you.
So she'll take bookings, but she will not take dates.
That's true.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Thanks, Ashley.
Thank you for joining us on Listen to Your Skin by Moon & Skin. It's an honor to be part of your skincare journey. And if you love this episode, make sure to subscribe, leave us a glowing review, and share it with someone who's passionate about their skincare journey. And please connect with us on social to ask your questions, which will drive future educational episodes.